Children love to work with each other, so buddies is a very common technique that teachers use.
Maggie ran home with her fair hair flying and her dog springing along beside her.
If they use it to have a weaker student working with a more advanced student, that serves one purpose, and that is to help deliver the information in a kid-friendly voice usually to the weaker student. When teachers have students working in like-level buddies, they're often giving them things that may extend their thinking.
Too bad, said Miss Swan. Maggie, continue.
And they really get into interesting conversations when they're doing Reading Buddy because they bounce ideas off of each other, and it helps them to actually read the text because some decoding skills that you don't have, your buddy may have, and they don't mind jumping in as long as it's just two people because there's no stigma attached to your reading buddy saying the word is difficult.
Another scaffolding technique is graphic organizers.
Okay, do you guys need a graphic organizer here?
Some people really need to see the information organized in a visual way in order to absorb it and get it.
I start teaching graphic organizers at the beginning of 6th grade. And usually by this time, 7th grade, they have 5 to 8 that they understand how to use and know what they are. And by the end of the year, we'll probably add a couple more. And we talk about how they can be used in different classes. Usually I keep a set in the classroom like the ones I have over my board, and they're free to go and pull a copy to use. Very often, once they understand the concept, they don't need one that I've provided, they just make their own. But they do often start with that.
Students often identify the need for scaffolding. Students are often the ones that say, I don't understand, I'm not confident, I'm not sure. I think that's a good signal that a scaffolded technique might be appropriate.
One of the higher level students had many things written down, but she hadn't put them into categories yet.
So you can categorize those? Do you want to use this?
I gave her graphic organizers so that she could simplify that process.
And then give examples of each? Okay.
Miss Swamp gives a ton of homework. And Miss James, word it for me, Charlotte.
Gives a small packet.
In Reading Today, they were doing Venn diagrams, and that's just a graphic organizer that you would use when you want to compare and contrast two things. And they compared themselves to their main characters in their story. It was easy for them then to look at what I wrote on the board and to start bringing that into their Venn diagram. Well, Julian is mean to his brother. I'm not mean to my brother. Julian tells his parents lies. I don't usually lie. And then we tried to think of similarities. We took it apart piece by piece and then built it back up together.
The reason I wanted to start with one that was kind of hard was to let you stretch your brains and see that even if you first start reading through your book and you say, I have nothing in common with this character, you probably do. You just have to think about it.
One of the scaffolding techniques that teachers can use is a time management aid. Some students really don't understand that what's going to be due on Friday needs to be broken up into these manageable pieces.
Now, we need to get a timeline to finish this project. Some of you are nearly through and some of you aren't nearly through. So let's get our agenda books out.
We are getting ready to wrap up a project that we've been working on for about a week, and children are at all different stages of this project. Most of our projects are fairly long-term and have many, many different tasks in them, so the children have to learn to figure out how to get things done in a timely manner and break it down into small pieces so it doesn't seem so massive to them. So we needed to have some sort of way to figure out how we could all get it done by Friday.
Let's see yours. Did you get a plan for this week?
They listed all the different aspects of the project, all the tasks they had to do. Some of the children who have learning disabilities or who have problems with their time management, it's much simpler for them if they have a form to fill out that they can look at that's real clear to them about which things to do on which days. And other children are able to figure out what they want to do on which days and manage their own task development that way.
One good technique in scaffolding is to preview the questions, to prepare for the coming lessons.
All right.
That's one thing I want you to think about. The other thing I'd like you to think about is how do our laws today compare to the laws then? And we're going to have Mr. Atack, our police officer, come in, and he's going to talk to us about what the laws for similar crimes are like today. But I'd like you to be thinking about it in the meantime.
I try to preview questions in lessons almost every single day so that they know what's coming up and can think about it, and it leads to a much richer discussion in class very often. I think previewing is very important because some students need more time to think about what we're going to talk about the next day and have a chance to think about possible answers or possible reasons before we actually get into class.
Teachers have to continuously monitor where their students are in order to apply successfully any scaffolding techniques. Well, one of the best practices teachers have is when they've tried something to ask how it went. That helps the teacher get some feedback on whether that technique is something that was appropriate and useful in this particular case. Scaffolding is a temporary help. Scaffolding isn't meant to always be there. A scaffold is meant to provide the support for the task that's being done during a brief amount of time. And as students grow more confident and can take larger steps, then you remove the scaffolds.